The following thoughts and opinions regarding this album are strictly of my own personal interests. I am not a professional music reviewer. I do encourage respectful discussion and friendly banter of each episode, but I do not condone and will not tolerate bullying or belligerence of any kind.
Well, hey there, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Rate the Record podcast, episode 110. Yes, 110 now, so we're moving right along with this podcast. Thank you very much for joining me today. I'm your host, Chris. As always, I've always been here, and I always will be here. Thank you very much for joining me. I truly appreciate it. And before we go too far, can I just remind you to do one thing? Can you do one thing or a multitude of things or all the things I'm about to list? Like, subscribe, rate, share, comment, and follow. All 6 of those things, a combination of them, or even just one, really truly does help out the show. Your support means the world to me. More eyes and ears on the prize, just like you. So I would love it if you did that for me. Thank you very much if you choose to, especially if you like today's episode. Maybe you'll go ahead and do at least one of those things. And there are plenty of places that you can also do those things as well. If you just check out ratetherecord.ca, that is ratetherecord.ca. All of the streaming links are there. All the social media links are there. Merch like this, for example, you can actually get something that looks something along the lines of this, and there's other designs too. And you can join the RTR Club for $3 a month. It used to be $5 a month. I've chopped it down to $3 because the economy sucks. I want to be fair, and I think that works out for everybody. So $3 a month, RTR Club. You can check that out at ratetherecord.ca. And by the way, the RTR Club, that'll get you early access episodes. You get shout out on social media and in episodes as everything as well. You get to request albums for the show, and I'm trying to think of other things to add into those tiers as well. So yes, RTR Club, $3 a month at ratetherecord.ca. There you go. Gonna get all the formalities out of the way, but if you've been here before, you already know that. Welcome back to the show. Glad to have you here again, checking out another album with me, so that way you can discuss music with me. But if you're new here, chances are you didn't know any of that, so now you know that, and I will say welcome to the show. I hope you enjoy your stay. I hope you have fun here. I hope you have fun discussing music with me, checking out all of these albums. Maybe you've heard them before, maybe you haven't. That's cool. Regardless, I'm glad to see you here. But chances are you don't know what I told you before, and now you won't know what we do here on the show. So each week I will choose an album, be it completely of my own choice. Maybe it's a request like this week's album, for example. Maybe something celebrating an anniversary. Regardless, an album will be chosen. I will listen to every song on it, and I'll play it in a few second chunks just so I don't get my ass kicked by copyright. I'll let you know my thoughts on the song, the entire album, and then the bread and butter of the entire podcast. I will rank the songs and then rate the record. There you go. Whoom. Getting so much better at doing all of these quick formalities in the beginning, but it's cool that I can get through it now because now we can get to actually talking about the album. I did mention that today was a request. This is the final one that was originally received back towards the end of season 5, so it had to be held off till season 6. Here we are now and can finally get around to it. So today I've been requested to check out Drab Majesty and their 2019 album Modern Mirror. They're relatively new to the scene. I think they've been around for about a decade or so, relatively underground more or less. So maybe you have heard of Drab Majesty, maybe you haven't. But regardless, let me tell you a little bit about Modern Mirror. Modern Mirror is the third full-length album from darkwave and dream pop duo Drab Majesty, which is made up of Andrew Debdemir Klinko on vocals, guitars, synth, and drum programming, and Alex Mona D. Nicolau on keyboards and vocals. The album was released on July 12, 2019, and released through Days Records. Debdemir acted as producer along with guest musician Joshua Eustace, who has worked with acts such as Telephone Tel Aviv, 9 Inch Nails, Pussifer, The Black Queen, and others. Modern Mirror also consists of other guest musicians such as Jasmine White Gluz on vocals, and Justin Meldal Johnson on bass. The album did fairly well considering it never had mainstream success. Metacritic has it at an 80 out of 100, Exclaim has it at 9 out of 10 stars, Paste at 8 out of 10 stars, and AllMusic at 4 out of 5 stars. The album spawned 3 singles, Ellipsis, Oxytocin, and Out of Sequence. Well, there you go. Now you know a little bit more about the band. So next to me on the screen here, at least for any of the video viewers out there, I have Spotify next to me on the screen. All 8 of the songs that appear on this album are right here next to me. So if you want to listen to this album along with me, go ahead and listen to the whole thing, or maybe just pause it track by track as I go. So that way we can be on the same page. It's like you're right here with me, listening to the album, giving your commentary as well. But regardless, I'll let you have that decision on your own. It's time to start the episode. So let's start with song number 1, A Dialogue. Tell you what, I'm going to pause it right there because it's technically the end of the song. It's just a noisy drone for the next 8 seconds or so. But regardless, song number 1, A Dialogue. We're officially kicking off this album now. And I think with a song like this, it's giving a pretty straightforward way of showing you what the atmosphere of this album is really going to be like, especially in the beginning with its lack of percussion, and like it comes in later on in the track, obviously, and then that heavy reverb layered on top of everything. That's kind of what this whole album ends up being. I mean, there's a hell of a lot more percussion, obviously, but just saying that atmosphere alone, really good example of what you can be in for this entire thing. The vocal layering is pretty neat too. I do like it in this song. It just keeps building and building and building. There's more and more being added to it. Throughout the entire runtime too, which is what, 4.5 minutes or so. So I think that's pretty neat as that happens. It feels like it's building, but the problem is the building is kind of drawn out a little bit and feels a little bit more lackluster in the end because it didn't really lead anywhere, to be specific. So with that, I think it could have been a little shorter. Not really a bad song, though. I like it as a good starter, but there could have been something more with it, especially with that long build-up. So I don't know. Let's see the rest of the album at this point. So song number 2, The Other Side. All right, song number 2, The Other Side. I don't believe that one was one of the singles that I listed, even though this one feels like it could have been at the very least. But yes, The Other Side, song number 2. So going back to song number 1 for just a minute, that reverbing and echoing that I had kind of mentioned previously can honestly just be a blanket statement for the entire album. I think I already kind of hinted at that anyways. And for something that falls under things like shoegaze and dream pop, which this band technically does, it shouldn't come as a surprise. So if you haven't heard it before, just expect this across the entire album. But I kind of like, I know it's called dream pop, but it has that very dreamy sense about it too. So I really do like that. The sonic sounds are just filling out my headphones beautifully. So that's always nice to have. It's a very Duran style of chorus and song altogether, but that chorus especially just feels very Duran to me. I don't know. It's the harmonies, the melodic structuring, it's all there, but it's actually quite pleasant. We've done Duran on the show before, and I didn't dislike the album either, so that should be an indicator that it's okay by me at the very least. Maybe it's just me too, I can't tell, but I feel like the song starts intensifying a little bit towards the end. Maybe it's some additional layers being added, which I know that's definitely happening. Maybe there's even a slight volume increase, I'm not too sure about that. But it did subconsciously help increase the energy a little more. Don't get me wrong, there is energy in this song, but there's just something about that little intense kind of lift at the end there that really did help it, even if I was thinking about it or not. So it's got that going for it. Pretty good. Ready to move on now to song number 3, Ellipsis. And as it fades out, song number 3, Ellipsis. The 80s synthwave style in this song feels so much more present in this track. Despite the previous song sounding like a Duran track, the 80s feel is definitely heavier in this one, I think, and so I thought that was just funny to note at the very least. And it's just so easy to get lost in these styles of tracks because of how airy and sparkling they feel, as I've already kind of been hinting at anyway. quite literally what you should be imagining and anticipating with a genre called dream pop. And I mean, like, I haven't heard tons of dream pop, like, personally. Like, I've heard a bit, but not tons. But at the same time, like, I know there's probably stuff that's more in-depth than this, probably more on the nose for it. I know there's, like, a lot of lo-fi that goes into dream pop as well, but now this is just kind of what I imagine, because everything feels so suiting to that name. And as for the song itself, too, again, with these additional layers, especially going towards the end, that really just increase, like, the volume and everything, and adds to those enveloping sonics that you get just all the way to the end of the track. Really interesting. And I mean, it is interesting because for songs that feel similar, like, relatively all the way through, like songs like this, for example, it kind of helps it keep it feeling fun and interesting at the very least. So again, not a bad song. I enjoyed it. It was a little similar throughout, but I'm glad it kind of like built a little more and felt a little exciting subconsciously as it was going. So that's good. That's fun. We can now keep moving on to the halfway point of the album now. Song number 4, or close enough to the halfway point. Whatever. Song number 4, Noise of the Void. All right, song number 4, Noise of the Void. Definitely much more of a come down with this one as compared to the other tracks so far. You can dance to this one, but it's going to be a hell of a slow dance to it, so take it as it will. It's got a bit of a darker side to it as compared to the other songs, not as like bright and poppy feeling as the other ones, so at least in my part, that's appreciated. I like it. I do like the different pacing and just the taste and mood overall that this kind of song gives the track list. I do like that. It adds a little bit of variety as we go. So it's nice to have that, not just the same dance beat for every single song, as fun as that can be. It's just nice to have some different things every once in a while, so I do appreciate it. And I mean, I have another note too that's just about the guitar, but realistically that kind of like clean, over-processed guitar kind of goes through the entire album. But I really like the way it sounds here, though. It just works. Maybe it's the slower beat, maybe it's the mood of the song. I don't know, but it just really works. I think the texture alone gives the song a lot of good character. And speaking of liking guitars too, I mean, I also like towards the end there was like the distorted guitar that was just kind of ringing out for a while. Like you have like the whole note kind of strums on them. I like that. I think that was really cool. It added a little bit more intensity that's not necessarily just increasing the volumes like the other songs. So, yeah, this had a lot of stuff I liked about it. I like the fact that it came down now. I mean, we've gotten halfway through the album, so it's nice to have this moment. We'll see if we get it again. See if we get it next. Song number 5, Dolls in the Dark. No, I don't think we're going to get it. Just kind of a fade out there, so I guess I'll pause it. Song number 5, Dolls in the Dark. Yeah, I guess you can see the come down energy did not follow into this track. The dance energy very much came back with this one. I wanted to say it's not super in your face about it, but that drum machine is far more pronounced than the other tracks so far. I think the only other track that would come close to it is probably Ellipsis. But other than that, I think this one probably tops it. It just felt far punchier and just like way more up front. So I guess it wouldn't be right to say this wasn't in your face about being more dancey. I think it was very much out in the front there. And there's also this very stabby staccato in the background going through like some of the verses and everything like that. I thought that was a really good texture to have on top of this very airy and smooth layout of absolutely everything else going on in this song, like the vocals, instrumentals, everything. So it's just nice to have those little things just to, once again, kind of increase that intrigue and just be glad that you're hearing more than just the same kind of like thing going through the entire thing. If everything was just smooth in this entire album and there was no fun little textures thrown in, it would probably end up being kind of a boring album. Not necessarily a bad one, but it wouldn't be all that great. But they're smart enough to add in these little layers that just kind of add some good taste and texture to everything else going on. So I like that. I like the way it was using the song. Very good. We can keep moving on now to song number 6, Oxytocin. All right, just more of a noisy fade out, so I guess I'll just pause it right there. Song number 6, Oxytocin. It's more or less what we're getting from other tracks, but in a good way though. It's not necessarily boring me or anything like that. It's dancey, it's pretty, it's dreamy, it's layered and textured in such a grand way. I think it sounds fantastic like that. I like how it starts to sound almost pretty noisy towards the end there too, and I get why maybe that would throw off some of the vibe for certain people. But I think it's little moments like that that really change things up just enough to keep your attention. So my ears definitely perk up. Definitely still paying attention, still enjoying what I'm hearing. So I like little moments like that. Once again, going back to my note about throwing in little textures throughout this entire album that kind of grab your attention like that. So it's not just one smooth, buttery ride the entire time. You gotta get the fork in that food, and that's a sharp fork. You gotta get in there in order to enjoy the food. Just gets it smooth, or spoon. Whatever. I don't even know what the hell I'm talking about. Food analogies. It's been a while since I've done food analogies on the show, and I wasn't the one. It was Savannah who used to do those. But I guess it's a good time as good a time as any to bring those back, right? No, I think it's actually as good a time as any, because I can't talk anymore, to do song number 7, that being Long Division. I fucking hate math, though. I hate math. All right, song number 7, Long Division, the penultimate track right there. Immediately the song, I love that it has the life and the energy of previous tracks, but it does it at a much slower pace. And to me, it gives that feeling of expansion to that already dreamy atmosphere. So I really like that. I don't know, something about this one felt a little bigger without necessarily getting louder, and I really enjoy that about it. So it was really nice. And speaking of being really nice, the chorus, very nice, very pretty. I do like it. It's catchy enough. It's soft and peaceful, but still has that danceable beat to it, so it actually works out pretty nicely for it. Other than that, despite the song being 5 minutes, I don't have much more to say about it, because a lot of it was, I don't want to say the same, but it just ran pretty similar throughout. Again, it's kind of like the other tracks. There wasn't too many textures kind of grabbing me in this one, but at the same time, it's okay, because the album has a lot of that already, so this song actually kind of works without it. I love how peaceful it is. Really nice stuff. So it'll be interesting to see where this ends up on my list. We'll find out very soon, because I have to do one more song before we do any of that. It would certainly be out of sequence for me to rank the songs right now. Song number 8, rank the out of sequence. Shut up, Chris. Just shut up. As much as I like noisy things, I'm going to go ahead and pause it there, because the rest of the, 20 to 30 seconds or so, it's just a buzzy, noisy fade out like that. So it's okay if I skip it. It's fine. I don't think I'm missing anything too critical here. Song number 8, out of sequence. The final song in the album, damn near 8 minutes long, but it actually kind of flew by. Being a nearly 8 minute song, it really wasn't that bad, because sometimes on this show, there have been songs that have gone on 6, 7, 8 minutes, 9 minutes that have just felt like slogs, and just it was terrible to get through. This one, not the case though. I actually kind of enjoyed this one. Although I will say that it was a bit of a bait and switch. In that first minute, you get this whole different mood and style, and then suddenly the beat kicks up faster, which, the whole song sounds good, but it kind of, when the beat picked up, it kind of pulled me abruptly out of this scene that was far more nicer and just serene overall. I don't know. I felt weird about that, and it was just, it's too bad that happened, but then you're used to the song by the end of it anyways, you're not even thinking about it, so it shouldn't matter all that much. There's a lot of string layers in this one too. Mainly with the guitar and everything like that. And I know that it's very plucky all across the entire album, super processed and everything like that, and it's usually fine. But there's something a little overwhelming about this track in particular this time around. I like how it sounds, but just, I don't know, as compared to the other tracks, it's just a little weirder this time around. It just feels like there's a little too much going on. And that's kind of the crossroads I'm at with this song. On one hand, like I like everything. I like how it sounds. I like what's happening. But on the other hand, it kind of feels like a little too much at some points. So it's just a very weird back and forth emotion for me. Like maybe it just depends on when I'm listening to the song and how I feel about it. And that's how I will feel about it at the time. But I figured I'd make a note of both of those things just because I can't decide which one I lean more towards at the point of writing this at least that. So yeah, there's not much that's really different from this one or all that stand out. Like it sounds nice like the others, don't get me wrong. The only thing that really stands out in the song is the fact that there's a real bass guitar being played by Justin Meldal-Johnson, as I had mentioned at the beginning of the album. And I know Justin's work from things like he did work with Beck, I believe, M83 that are produced an album. He played bass for Macy Gray, and more importantly, in my world, he was live bassist for Nine Inch Nails for a handful of years as well in the 2000s. So that's really cool. But like hearing his bass and like a real bass in general in this song was actually really cool. I thought it sounded great. Like it's not like a big standout bass line, but because it's real, it has something of a post-punky kind of feel to it. And I really dig post-punk. So having that to close out the album actually feels really cool to me. It gives it a little bit more of a drive, even though it's like not necessarily distorted or anything like that. But I like it. I like the way that sounds. Really cool idea to end the album on that too. And Justin Meldal-Johnson's a good bass player too. So sounds smooth, sounds great. I do enjoy it. And with that said, I am now at the end of Modern Mirror. And I mean, sonically, there isn't much that could be considered unpleasant about this album. I could say that at the very least. I mean, the production's great all around. Again, just very filling of every soundscape you could possibly think of in this one. It sounds really great. And it's good whether you're paying attention or not. Like if you're reviewing it like me and you're sitting down and like listening to track after track and like really digging into it, or you're just like doing background chores and you have this album on, it's going to sound good regardless. So I think that's a good solid album to have than the fact that you can just like have it on. It doesn't matter if you pay attention or not. It just sounds good regardless. Good, good, good. With that said, now I can get Spotify off the screen, scooch over just a smidge because now it's time to put numbers on the screen, 1 through 8 to be specific, because there's only 8 songs on this album. For 42 minutes, it's only an 8-song album. That's kind of crazy. But regardless, gotta rank the songs now. That's what we do here. We gotta rank the songs 8 through 1 right now. Least favorite to favorite, not so great to great, least preferred to preferred. However you want to cut that cake, time to cut the cake, baby. People are hungry. They got to eat their sugar. I have no idea where I'm going with this, so I'm just going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to just drive right through these things right now. So song number 8, A Dialogue. Number 7, Ellipsis. Number 6, The Other Side. Number 5, Out of Sequence. Number 4, Dolls in the Dark. Number 3, Oxytocin. Number 2, Long Division. As much as I hate math, Long Division came number 2. And number 1, Noise of the Void. I just liked a bit of the darker touch that song had. It was a nice come down to have. I enjoyed it. So there you go. There are my 8 songs right there. Solid album all around, but how solid was it indeed? Well, I mean, if you haven't done the math already, I'll do it for you, because getting rid of that now, it's time to rate the record. As per always, title track of the podcast, what did I think about this album? Well, I can say that the A tier has made a comeback. I can tell you that much, A- to be specific, because I rated this album 81.25. I didn't know what to expect with this one. Like I knew who Modern Mirror. I didn't know the album. I knew who the band was. I've heard some of their tracks before, and I think I even did an NMR on one of the most recent ones from a soundtrack or something like that. But regardless, I thought maybe like it'd be high B tier, but here we are in the low A tier, so that's even better. That's even more preferred. We've had some B tiers on the show so far this season, so it's not like I'm suddenly like slacking on the B tier albums. We do indeed have another A. It's a good one. So just going to lift that off the screen there. Fantastic. And that brings us to the end of the episode. So thank you very much for making it this far through the episode and listening to the album with me. And if you did indeed listen to the album with me, do me a favor and down in the comments below wherever you're listening, and there's comment sections everywhere, so it doesn't matter where you're listening. Let me know what you thought about this album. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Do you like Drab Majesty? Do you agree or disagree with me? How would you rank the songs? How would you rate the record? All of these things I truly want to know, because it's all this part about this musical commentary thing, and I want to have this conversation with you. That's how this works. And you can find all those places to do those things too over at ratetherecord.ca. Let me know on our social medias, obviously, and all the social medias are found over on ratetherecord.ca. Streaming links, merch, again, like the shirt I'm wearing now, and other designs as well. And of course, the RTR Club for $3 a month if you want to financially support the show. It's optional, but the option is indeed yours. Fantastic. Boom. Okay. So that brings an end to me even doing the advertising now, the album, the episode, everything. I would give you a teaser for what's next week, but I'm not going to lie, I forget, because if you haven't been paying attention to the other episodes, a lot of these are being recorded out of sequence, so I honestly don't remember what next week is, but it'll be there when it's there, and it's going to be good, because all of my episodes are good. They're all fantastic, right? And I'm very good at being a host. Very good host. Anyways, very good host needs to stop talking now, because my brain is crossing and my eyes are about to as well. So until I see you again, go listen to some awesome music and be safe out there. Why not? Take care, friends.